Introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Sir Vansen. I'm a Knight of the Sword in the Kingdom of Desert Winds in Amtgard. What that means is I fight in Utah, and I've won some sword fighting tournaments in my lifetime. This is my good friend Dragon.
I like swinging swords.
He's very good at it. And today I'm just gonna, I guess, go over my approach to tournament fighting and some of the mental game of sparring opponents. I'm assuming here you guys already kind of know your basic shots, your basic stance, and kind of how to move different lanes and such. So one thing that you gotta remind yourself, you gotta have some grace. Tournament fighting is different than sparring. When I'm sparring Dragon, say weekly practice, usually we're just starting this close. We tap weapons and then we're going, right? That's really great because you're getting a lot of repetitions. But the thing is when people fight in tournaments, your life truly matters now. So what happens is we've immediately backed off of one another, right? And range control becomes a much bigger aspect of the game because we need to close that distance. If you don't do that, it just looks like this. You kind of walk and mosey up into the range, and then you're going to do what you do sparring. The challenge with that is a lot of your opponents aren't going to do that. If you try and do that and walk towards me, I may back up and start to snipe you, right? I'm a tall fighter, I'm 6'4", that's going to be my strength. So what we need to do is we need to respect the space, and we want to use that space to our advantage. And I call this just like at the beginning of the fight, you really want to analyze your opponent, especially if you haven't fought them before. I tap swords. The first thing I'm looking at is those fundamentals that you should know. Are they right-handed or are they left-handed? How are they standing? So he's fighting right now with his off foot forward, his non-sword side foot forward. He's got his hand out here, his sword side back. I know from that likely, say his first step, he's going to gain a ton of range on me, and all of those angles that I saw are going to change. All of this juicy side is going to be less juicy because now it's the back side. So I need to be prepared for scenarios like that. But my guess is as good as anyone's, right? It's just like a hypothesis. So I kind of want to test that, or I'm hedging my bets. And ultimately, sword fighting is a game of probability, and we're just trying to kind of increase the chance and likelihood that our game plan is statistically like going to be more successful than the other person. So what I recommend is a couple things. We want to gain data. How do we do that? Well, we maintain distance. Maybe I step in and see, are they going to back up? Are they going to step into me? I need to be ready for that. I don't want him just to close on me, right? If we die, we lose. We win if we don't die. The other thing is just throwing, say, good fishing shots. Now, if you're up close, you can kind of do that by actually hitting someone's equipment. And you're trying to kind of get a gauge of, like, from their guard, maybe they're baiting something. Maybe they have a game plan in their mind. So we can kind of try and fish that out and get an idea just by, like, pumping our sword and see how they respond. If I pump my sword, I can stay really safe and react safely to something that they do, and I can always move out of range. But this is really important because if it's a new fighter, I don't know if they're gonna just bull rush on top of me. I don't know if they're gonna try and do more body fakes, or if they're not gonna fake at all and they're swinging at face value on everything. Or for the case of like a newer fighter, I don't know what their mechanics are, and they just may throw shots that I'm not used to. And so it's very important to kind of take the time and space, if you can, to fish out what you're doing. All that being said, you still got to execute on something. So once again, I said this earlier, my guess is still as good as anyone else's, but once I've kind of pieced together, okay, he's got this forward, I'm going to come up with something, and maybe because this is forward, I'm going to pump over here and see if I can get him to react and then counter on it safely, right? The last thing that I would say, and this is something that you guys could do as an exercise, is to have people spar and then talk about what archetype or what bucket you would put that fighter in. Are they someone who prefers to get up really close and grind and fight in A range? Are they someone who likes to run away and maintain max range and really try and just kind of fish shots? Are they someone who plays more in mid-range and does more body fakes to set things up? Are they feinting at all? And come up with your own language, your own lexicon of what those buckets are that you would sort fighters in. This is really helpful because as you go to events and you're fighting a lot of people, if you've practiced analyzing people into these buckets, it's a lot easier for you to recognize, oh, this is a ranged counter fighter. Great, well, I've fought in 4, 5, 10, 20 other fighters that kind of fit loosely into this category. And here's the things that they tend to punish me on, and I know that I can counter them this way. Maybe you're not that far in your fighting, and that's totally fine. Having the exercise of you guys working together to kind of build that language, you could ask someone who's more experienced, hey, I really struggle with people who are the ranged counter fighters, and they can help you develop strategies or highlight, hey, this is why their style is countering yours. I'm happy to be a resource for you guys as well. I can even be part of this if you want to send me some video footage, and I could do that exercise to show you. But I would request prior to me doing that you do that exercise on yourself. That way you're getting that opportunity to test yourself. Outside of that, the last thing I'll say is, at least in AmpGuard, usually our tournament formats are best 2 out of 3. And if, say, Dragon beats me in my first set, 2 out of 3, I get knocked into the loser's side of the bracket. I'm still in the tournament. And some people start to get a little bit more desperate when they're in that situation. I would say it's kind of deuces. I don't know what the numbers for me. I've been very comfortable in my fighting career rising out of the loser's bracket and winning tournaments because I stay calm and collected in that scenario. Or honestly, I'm probably more comfortable in that scenario because I'm more focused coming out of that. Like, okay, I really only have one shot left here. So there's a mental aspect there. And what I would recommend is if you find yourself getting frustrated, you're like, oh, well, they're beating me. Really try and understand, well, what is it about this that it's causing that feeling, right? This is just a game and people are going to be better than you. All you have control over is yourself and the things that you're doing. And you can step back and just say, here was the game plan that I had. I pumped here and, well, you didn't respond how I thought. Like, what were you thinking in the scenario? And you can actually have a conversation with your opponent to understand whether or not what you're attempting to do is working on them, or whether they're even picking up what you're doing. Don't get in your head about this. We're all kind of in our own silos, in our own brains, trying to read and react to one another. I would encourage just have that conversation with people, and that should really help you build your fight IQ and help you be more consistent moving forward. Anyways, nice meeting you.
Thank you.